Live. Hey, everybody. Well, nobody, because there's nobody watching right now. I am live right now with, who am I live with? Who are you?
John McMillan of Vyral
John
Marketing.
McMillan with Vyral Marketing. John, how long have you been around this viral marketing business?
Well, Vyral Marketing actually coincidentally turns 11 years old tomorrow.
11 years. That's it.
Yeah.
I would have assumed that you guys would have been around a little bit longer.
Well, so yeah, I mean, me and Frank are both in our mid 30s.
Right.
Frank, who's our
Are you
CEO.
bragging? Are you bragging? Because I'm 52
No,
years old.
I'm just giving you the timeline of how we've only been
All
around for
right,
11 years. So anyways, Frank and I have actually known each other since we were in first grade. We grew up in Omaha, Nebraska together.
Okay.
And Frank was always that guy that was out, being the main entrepreneur. He was the guy that was always trying to like sell my dad something when he was like 8 years old. Frank actually started a fitness business when he was 19. He would do in-home personal fitness training, and they would go to people's houses and help them work out. And that business was actually going awesome until the economic collapse in 2008. And, people were just like, I don't know if I really want to pay $240, a week for personal training. So at that time, actually, my background was more like your traditional media. So when I was in college, I worked for the student newspaper, the Daily Nebraskan at University of Nebraska-Lincoln, selling ads for them. At the time, I think we were the third biggest daily newspaper in the state. And then I got an internship at another newspaper company, Suburban Newspapers. So they did like different metropolitan, like Papillion, La Vista, those newspapers here in Omaha. Got a job at Bozell at an ad agency as an intern right after I graduated college, which turned into a job at Fox 42. So in 2008, after I graduated, it wasn't the best economic time. I mean, Omaha was a little bit insulated from that, but still, people weren't making money hand over fist or anything like that. So out selling TV ads, wasn't really loving it. And Frank was like, hey man, I need help building my fitness business. So I came aboard and we did a bunch of different things. But one of the things that we did was we started to create social media marketing. We started to create database marketing to the personal trainers that had worked for the Final Rep and sending out educational videos about, what was happening or, like different tips and nutrition and things of value for them. But what we kind of realized was, hey, look, we're starting to actually kind of build a system, a marketing system here that we could maybe go sell to other business owners. And one of the first people that Frank approached about it was a real estate agent here in Omaha that was like, yes, I need help with all this. And they hired him. And so all of a sudden it was like, well, I think the fitness business is over, but I think we're on to something here. So Vyral Marketing was kind of born. So our first YouTube video that Frank put out was put out on June 24th, 2009. So that's kind of the unofficial date of the company. I don't know exactly when it was officially from the Final Rep to Vyral Marketing.
Well, and that's actually right around the time that Frank and I met, because I was a team leader for Keller Williams.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, I invited him on a couple events down, like their masterminds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he ended up connecting with other team leaders, and which then evolved into working with other real estate agents. All right, so that's a good history of Vyral Marketing. How many agents would you say right now you guys are helping with their databases and stuff?
Well, that's an interesting number because there's the pre-COVID number, which was about 500. And then after COVID kind of happened, a lot of people scaled way back on their marketing budget. So we're at about 400 clients throughout the nation.
That's interesting, John. I was talking with last week. I was talking with a gentleman that does postcard marketing. He does other things too, but he owns Umbrella Graphics out in Seattle, and he kind of mentioned the same thing. I'm kind of the big believer of, obviously, with COVID-19, we didn't get that, right? We didn't really understand the magnitude of that. I'm 52. If you're in your 30s, you had no clue what was going on, right? At least I was kind of close to the Great Depression, or at least closer to that than you. But I think, from a standpoint is that where I look at COVID-19 and the shutdown, and it really kind of, possibly at the time thinking it could affect the real estate market, which in reality, it did not affect the real estate market really if anything, there was maybe 1 month, the month of April, that inventory was really affected. Obviously, buyer inventory is still extremely high right now. But I think, from a standpoint of when things start to get a little rough, it seems like real estate agents in general, obviously that's who I deal with, want to scale back in the fear of, marketing. I would almost bet that if you looked at the 100 people that were scaling back, they were probably like a restaurant that was closed and probably will not reopen once this is all done, meaning that, in my opinion, this is my opinion only, is that restaurant would have been out of business. It just happened quicker. And a lot of times with real estate agents, when they start, I just think in general, they should double down, because when you get eventually, once we get through this, and if you look at history, we've gone through a ton of events, and history always proves out that in the United States, I don't care where you're at, what market, what your population is, we always make it through even stronger. And real estate obviously has always been strong, always will be strong. Does it have hiccups? Absolutely it does. So what is your thoughts on doubling down when, you're thinking business is getting a little bit maybe slowing down?
Well, I think there's kind of some different thoughts into that. Now, I'm not going to fault any of the 100 clients and say, like, you made a huge mistake by leaving. People had all sorts of different reasons for doing that, and I understand that there's definitely some compulsion to be like, I need as much cash on hand just in case this happens, this happens, this happens. So in that respect, like, I'm never going to say like these people made the wrong decision. But what we did see was a lot of people did start doubling down, and not maybe as much on like going out and like spending more money with like Zillow or things of that nature. But they're really looking as, well, when times get tough, who's going to be there for me? Well, it's the people in my database. It's my past clients. It's my sphere of influence. It's maybe these people that I've been nurturing and working with a little bit down the line, but definitely, here's my past clients. Here's my sphere of influence. I need to make sure that I'm building a moat around those people. So, if there is a need for real estate, that they're not going anywhere. So one of the things that we did, especially in, mid-March to early April, was when things were just, there was so much information coming out. Things were closing, things were opening. Some employees in different states were essential, some were non-essential. All that kind of stuff was happening. Can we even still trade real estate? If I go into a house or if I'm showing my house to someone who has COVID, can I be infected from that? So there's all these different things. So we just said, hey, look, clients, like generally we only want to send 2 educational videos out each month. But there's just so much information and not a lot of it's really covering real estate. Go ahead and just send as many videos out to your database each month. And what happened was a lot of them were doing these and they were providing these kind of updates. And they said, this is the best response. Like we had clients that had been clients for years and years and years and years. And they're like, this was the best response I've ever got from anything. And they really just came from a place of, I'm here to help. I want to answer questions for you, like whatever you kind of need, just like, let me know, if you've lost your job and you need, help with your mortgage, I can connect you with the right people. And that's what really they came from, was just like, I am here to help. I am a member of your community. I want to help you. And we were getting those messages out, and it really connected with people's audiences because, our clients like were genuine about that, and we're able to help out a lot of people that had all sorts of questions and different things going on in their lives that, no one else was really coming to them from that standpoint. So that was kind of interesting about.
Well, yeah. And I think that, from a standpoint of, people were just wanting information, and I know that with our brokerage firm, the message that was coming out from our leadership was to reach out to your clients, to talk to them, to, see what they want. But what it's so funny is, to me, we've been doing that for 15 years. I don't ever call anybody with the direct intent to get a referral or the direct intent to get them to, do business with me. It's always, how are you doing? It's a Merry Christmas. It's a Happy Thanksgiving. It's a Happy Holidays. It's a, hey, why don't you come to this? Or, hey, why don't you come to that? Or, hey, I don't know if you were aware, but this is going on. So that's the conversation. And I think that going through COVID-19 in just specifically, it has shown me more so that all we're doing is just trying to connect, And I think the one thing that I really love about your guys' platform is that, it's really the agents, and this has been coming along down the pike. This isn't anything new, but the agents that are really successful in this business, they usually transition their business into more relational than transactional, And again, I think that kind of where your guys' message is from a video standpoint, and what I've always ever told any real estate agent that wants to do video, and what we do on our end, is they need to get to know who you are. Okay, first of all, they need to like you in order to even want to refer you or do business with you. So you got to be able to be you. And that's, I think, the one thing that I see with people, mainly with video, is they'll say things like, oh, I don't like the way I sound, or, oh, I don't like the way I look. How do you get over that, right? Because however you sound on video, it's how you sound in person. However you look in video, it's how you sound in person. And actually in video, with editing, the great thing with editing, you can actually make yourself look smarter and better. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you hear stories all the time of, actors in Hollywood that don't watch their own movies. So I don't think that's an uncommon human experience to have, is I don't like watching myself. So, a lot of times when I'm talking to someone, that I compare doing video to exercising. Exercising is good for you. Not a lot of people like to do it, especially at first, but you just got to get on that treadmill and start walking. And eventually it becomes easier, and eventually it becomes something that you feel like, I need to continue to do this because I feel better about it. And you might even grow to like it a little bit. So going back to the personal training business that Frank owned, I mean, that's really what it is. Like, you just gotta do it because it is good for you. And I think video, if you're a business owner in a service-based business and you have something that you can be talking about to your audience on a regular basis, it's going to do a few things for you. Number one, it's going to keep you top of mind awareness. Number two, it's going to position you as an expert, because probably not a lot of your competitors are going to be out doing what you're doing with that. More and more people are getting on video, but doing it consistently, talking about things, and we'll probably get to that, of what your audience wants to hear, and coming at it from an educational standpoint, not just being like, here's how great I am. And the third thing is it does allow those people in your audience, your database, that you don't have as good of a relationship with, the ability to spend some time with you so they get to know you, like you, and trust you. So when they're ready to do business with you, they're like, okay, Gary's been sending me these videos all the time. I'm gonna go talk to him, because I've had the ability to watch him on these Facebook Lives and get to know what he's doing and what his personality is like and what he's all about. And I already kind of know him. And that's why video is pretty cool.
John, around that specific thing that you just said, that, top of mind, obviously that's what marketing does in general. And, but what videos do, obviously, is you become kind of famous within your own database. And the one thing that we have experienced year after year is we'll get, not a ton, but a handful of clients, 5, 6, 7 clients, that will call us up out of the blue and just say something in regards to a video that we shot or something that we did, and they're asking a question about something, or they know who we are and we absolutely have no idea who we're talking to on the other end. And I'm sure, again, I'm just dealing with me in general, but I'm sure that you guys probably get that experience and possibly comments from the agents that you're currently working with.
We get a lot of clients that are like, hey, you know, like somebody at the grocery store started talking to me about one of the videos that I just did, you know, and asked me a question about it. And that does happen all the time. With Vyral, for instance, you know, we definitely practice what we preach. I'm generally not the forward-facing person. That would generally be Frank, who's our CEO, but he puts out a ton of content all the time. And what's interesting is, you know, I'll get on sales calls with people and just a consultation call. Hey, you know, this is what Vyral is, etc. And you know, I'll ask, the first question I always ask is, where did you first hear about us? Because we want to track our lead sources. And a lot of people are like, I don't even remember. I've been in your guys' database and getting your stuff for 5 years. And this is the first time that they'll end up actually getting on a consultation call. So they sat back and watched us for that long before they felt comfortable taking that step and maybe like sacrificing that. But it's like, good, we have been in front of you all the time for 5 years. And finally, you know, once you were ready to actually take that step, I mean, that's the same as real estate, right? How often are people buying a house? I mean, it's not every year, hopefully, you know, it's every 5, 10 longer. So in order for somebody to remember you, you know, you have to be hitting them and hitting them and hitting them and hitting them. So.
All right, so let's kind of pivot here a little bit and let's talk about Vyral in general. Okay, you know, you guys obviously it's not the first time agent budget type situation to be able to hire Vyral Marketing, but at the same time, there's a lot of things that people can do, and I think from a marketing standpoint or a database standpoint, we're on the same page. And so when somebody is getting ready to kick off some emails or send out video or whatever the case may be, how do you guys go about helping your clients put together a database?
Yeah, so we're going to look at, I'm kind of going to go back to this, but there's going to be like 3 main sources. So you're going to have your past clients, you're going to have your sphere of influence, and you're going to have any leads that you're currently nurturing. Email marketing has changed quite a bit since we've been doing this. If we were talking 11 years ago, I'd be like, give me every single email address that you've ever come in contact with, and let's send all these people an email. Well, chances are, if we do that, that most of those people, so like, let's say you're running archived leads and these people registered on Zillow and you haven't ever talked to them, they're probably going to have no idea who you are. So email's gone more permission based. So we are focused on those people that you have some sort of existing relationship with already. So we kind of pull past clients, sphere of influence, and your nurtures, which are going to come from a variety of sources. I mean, they're going to be in your Gmail. They are going to be on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and places like that. But the social media doesn't make it super easy for you to grab those email addresses anymore. So it's more of like a memory jogger. Like, so if I went to my Facebook, you can generally click your friends and it will actually show you the people that you interact with most on Facebook right there at the top. And you start to kind of just scroll down through that and be like, okay, well, this is my sphere of influence. So, you know, I've been on Facebook for 15 years. How many of these people did I meet in college at like a party one night that I've probably never talked to ever? I'm not going to throw all of them in my database. But there's definitely a good amount of, you know, whatever thousands plus friends that I have that I would say, okay, maybe it's these 200 of them. You know, and then your past clients, that one's easy. And then leads that you're currently nurturing. So I would say, you know, and let's just go with the kind of a Keller Williams school of thought here. You have your Mets and you have your haven't Mets. So if we've made contact with them, we've exchanged text messages, phone calls, emails, something like that, we're moving them from a haven't met to a met. So then you're taking those 3 sources and we then compile it through there. Another little trick that we do is with a lot of email service providers now, they like high deliverability. So when you send out your first email, you want that to actually hit inboxes. So there's a service out there called Never Bounce. We use it. And you run the email addresses, so you just get them all in an Excel file and you run them through Never Bounce. And what Never Bounce does is it tells you how many of those emails are actually valid and are actually going to be delivered. So that's a really nice thing too. So we have that high deliverability rate on the first email that we're sending out for our clients.
Okay. So school of thought, step one, put a basically permission-based database together. Because kind of whenever I start coaching somebody, and this is honestly one of the things that real estate agents, I don't care if they've been in the business a week or they've been in a business 30 years. Real estate agents really, really struggle with putting together a good database. And a database in itself is where you're going to start to sift. I can sit here and look at, we've got 462 people in our database. That's households. So we send out newsletters once a month. So give or take, there's maybe about 700 people individual people with spouses and stuff that are in there that that we actually have email addresses. But again, you don't need everybody to get started. You just need a good handful, and then just always knowing that this is something that your database is something that's a living, breathing entity that is going to, I always tell people, John, is that treat your database like your Zillow or like your realtor.com. Agents are so quick to want to get a lender and turn around and go spend $5,000, $6,000. We know, you and I know agents that are spending $10,000, $15,000 a month to go try and find people they don't even know, versus investing in money and saying, hey, I want to nurture my return on investment with the people that are within my database. And I've got people in my database, probably a good 30, 40 of them, that send us 3 or 4 good closed leads a year. And, obviously, to me, I've always said not everybody in your database is treated equal, right? I've got my A pluses, my A's, and my B's. I'm always trying to get my B's up to A pluses, or A's, and A's up to A pluses. But all right, so that's your kind of your database. So let's talk about the content that you're actually, wanting them. Because I think what you guys do, once you put your database together, then you guys send out kind of an intro email explaining.
It's called the Reconnect email is what we call it. And its basic purpose is to kind of set the tone of the way that you're going to communicate with your database going forward. So generally, it just pretty much says, it's funny, we've had to rewrite it like 3 times actually since March. But it's basically, hey, I want to do a better job of staying in touch with you. So the way that I'm going to do that is by sending you educational videos that we record here every 2 weeks, 2 times every month. So you can stay informed about what's happening in our local real estate market. That's basically what our Reconnect is. It's a little bit longer than that. We kind of list out some of the things that the client's going to talk about. But yeah, that's kind of the initial email. So there's no video in that one. We make it very easy for someone to unsubscribe if they want to, and then we start sending them videos.
Okay. And so content. So what are you, so whenever I talk to, well, I'll just tell you what we do. We usually make videos around 3 topics. Either it's a testimonial, either it's a referral, meaning that I'm sitting with my electrician or my plumber or, somebody that I want to introduce to my database, or it's, something that's educational from a standpoint on the buyer side, the renter side, could be investor side, could be rental side, whatever the case may be. So what are you guys saying? Let me ask 2 questions. One is, what content are you suggesting that the agents shoot on a month-to-month? Because that's another, I think, biggest thing that people have a challenge of is, what do I make videos around? Yeah. And then the next question is, what are you seeing as the most popular, the most engaging videos that your clients are sending out?
Right now, it's market updates, to be honest. So we're encouraging all of our clients to do those, about like once a month. Is just kind of, here's a state of what's happening with the market, and bringing that to a local level. Because again, it's probably not one of those things that is getting as much coverage. You don't just turn on the news and people are talking about how inventory is low in Omaha or something like that. So keeping people up to date with that. A lot of people were kind of scared about like what's going to happen with home prices. I've just spent all this time building inventory up in my home. Is that going to go away overnight? I feel like that's calmed down a little bit because we haven't seen any like dramatic shifts. I mean, anywhere really in the country, home prices are staying steady. But that was a big thing, definitely in like March and April, and people having to differentiate. Well, here's what's going on now economically versus here's kind of what happened in 2007, 2008 when this whole housing crisis kind of happened the last time. So doing that. Let's see. And then, I think you're right on there with doing kind of referral based videos. I think what's great, especially about a real estate agent, is it allows you to have a very wide net of what you can talk about. You can talk about school districts. You can talk to local business owners. You can talk about, events when events were still a thing. That are happening around town. You can talk about a new restaurant. Yep. I mean, it really is like you can just position yourself as a community expert. So you don't have to just stay in the, I'm going to talk about interest rates and, what's happening with real estate and home staging and all that kind of stuff. Like you can pretty much talk about anything. So one of the things that I've always kind of guided clients on is like, we would like you to be at least somewhat passionate about what you're talking about. So if you're really for me, I love Omaha, Nebraska. Like I would be, if I was a real estate agent, I would just be like, I'm the ambassador of Omaha. And I would just talk about the community and what makes it unique. But some people are like, that's not really my thing. I'd rather get into the numbers and go through that and do. So, if that's more the way that you do business and the way that you operate, again, we're kind of going back to the beginning here, but like allow people to get to know you, like you, and trust you. So you're going to kind of attract the same type of clientele that, the way that you operate. And the videos are going to allow you to do that. So just be who you are and talk about things that you want to talk about, because that passion, that energy is going to come off from that. Where if I'm trying to get you, Gary, maybe to talk about staging and you're like, I don't care about staging, you're just going to that's going to come across in the video. And it's just going to be like, well, that wasn't very entertaining. Well, because the person that was talking about it didn't even like it. So, you got to kind of get to where what drives you, like what you get excited to talk about.
Well, and I think too, John, that really goes to them getting to know who you are. I've always said Facebook, I mean, everybody should have a personal and then a business Facebook page. And these types of videos you're talking about, I would probably only post them on my my business page and then invite people to like my business page. That way it shows up in their feed. But at the same time, if somebody Googles you, okay, and if your content is only on, if it's video and it's on YouTube, that's the number one thing that's going to come up about you is YouTube. And the same thing about Facebook. It typically, if I Googled you, if you Google me, the number one thing that's going to pop up is my Facebook page. Because we have content on there constantly. Every day there's something, maybe 2 or 3 things posted. And I've always used our Facebook page to get to know who I am. We had Father's Day posts this last weekend. We, spending time with our grandson. We had an anniversary, so when I talk about one of the questions that I asked you is what's the best type of content for a real estate agent to post that's going to get the most views, that's going to get the most whatever, right? And like anniversaries, baby pictures, announcements of getting married, all of that type of stuff gets great coverage when it comes to a Facebook post. But I think that from a video standpoint, where I really love watching video, and this is kind of to me, it's dangerous because if you go out and watch 3 different agents that have been rocking video for the last 8 years, 5 years, 3 years, it's really intimidating to then say, oh my God. But if you go back to YouTube and you go back to like their very first video, their first couple posts that they did, you will find out that it is, unless it was something that was, edited or professionally done and somebody spent $2,000 or $3,000 to put a good video together. For the most part, they're terrible. They're absolutely terrible, and they're hard to watch. Right? So, but you need to go up. The reason why I'm doing this, I could have easily shot a video, did it on Zoom, and shot a video of you and me and recorded it, and then went through and edited it and taken out certain things. But just for the mere fact that we are, that I'm streaming this on Facebook, it gives us more coverage. We can use the video for different things. Heck, even Facebook now is doing the transcribing of it. So when somebody scrolls by and, it's being transcribed, but it also creates a library. If anybody wants to know Vyral Marketing, if I suggest you guys, I always like to have a video to be able to say, hey, you know what? I've got a video that's 30, 40 minutes long. If you guys want, John is on there. He will answer a lot of questions for you. Go watch it, skip through it, do whatever you want, and then give them a call so you have kind of a good idea of what they're able to do for you.
Yeah.
But all right, so we got content. So you're saying 2 videos a month. You got different subjects that are on there. And I think that, like, when you're saying personality, that is the passion, right? It's what do you want to talk about? And again, nobody loves talking about the market, but it's kind of one of those grinders that, you should be, if you're going to go talk to a seller, you got to be able to talking about the market. So to me, getting to know the numbers and consistently knowing the numbers month in and month out and knowing what they were from this year compared to last year, one, educates you so that you can educate your population. Everybody hates public speaking unless they understand the topic or they're passionate about the topic that they're talking about. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I totally agree. And another thing, if you wanted to just kind of go like, well, and one thing I didn't mention, but if I wanted to go towards what's the audience looking for, I mean, just do a Google search and Google will actually autocomplete it. So if I type in real estate in Omaha and then push a space bar, it will then tell me what people are searching for on Google. You can do the same thing on YouTube. And if you wanted to just create topics of what people are searching for, that's one way to do it too.
Yeah. So there's tons of ways of being able to do it. And, for the agents that, I've got probably about 5 or 6 coaching clients right now that are in the process of hiring assistants, getting maybe a buyer's agent because they're doing, they're writing up 6, 7 transactions a week, going on listing appointments and stuff like that, which is not a bad problem to have.
Mm-hmm.
But, I can see where it's going to be tough if, I'm starting a new system video. It's going to be tough to be able to put that in. This is something that even though I feel it's important for somebody to have as a system within their marketing budget, at the same time, it's tough when it's a busy time of the year. But once you're in the habit of doing it and you schedule it and you create that space within your office or at home or wherever you're at, that then, you got the topic, you understand the topic, you got the passion, boom, you hit record and you do a 3-minute content of a video, send it off to you guys, you do all the editing. And I think, don't you guys even actually send the emails and everything too?
Yep. So the kind of way that it works is at Vyral, you have a consultant. So that's your go-to person. So we always just say, have a 30-minute weekly call with this person. They're going to do 2 calls about your content and 2 calls that are more on coaching. So you're going to we'll come to you and we'll say, hey, Gary, here's 10 different ideas for videos. Why don't you just pick 2? You would go, okay, yep, I like this idea and I like this idea. We would go, great. Here's some talking points to go along with those. Let's collaborate together and make sure that they all work for you. And you'd say, okay, I do things a little bit differently than the way you guys have this talking point, but everything else looks pretty good. Show up the next week. We're there to coach you through recording the 2 videos. We can do that on a Zoom video conference or something like that. Make sure that there's good framing. Make sure you're hitting those talking points. Make sure you have good energy. So we're actively coaching people through recording the videos. And then we go over, extra strategies and the consistency of everything and your results and make sure, again, we're like jiving with what the audience wants. So looking at like open and click rates. You shoot the videos, you send them in to us, we edit them. Make sure there's good sound and audio. We add graphics. If you screw up 15 times, we edit out those 15 takes that were bad and use the good 1 take that's good. We then put that on YouTube, send it to our writers who write an article and an email based on the content of your video. So then we actually put together this whole email proof, send it to the client. The client says, yep, looks great. that's when we send it out to their database, and then we go through and update social media with it. So Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And then send a report based on here's all the people that clicked, opened, bounced, and unsubscribed from the last email that you sent out.
So you guys are doing pretty much everything for them. So if an agent were to hire you guys to do their video marketing for them, really, and other than just shooting the video, and then the initial setup in the beginning of the painstaking, idea of putting together your database, you guys, it's pretty much turnkey for you guys, isn't it?
Yep. I mean, again, we want to communicate with you as much as possible. So 30 minutes once a week is all we're pretty much asking. That'll keep the consistency there. And the one thing that is huge is if you're consistent with the marketing plan, it works. The people that generally are like, hey, I'm not getting any results, I'll look back and I'm like, well, you're kind of sporadically only being able to get like one video out a month, some months two. So you're not really following the marketing plan as intended. Like we have to get more consistent, and then hopefully, that will help. We also do want our client, the client has to update the database with us each month. We'll remind them about it. And then the big thing is we want follow-up on that report that we send out. So we want our clients to call the people that are clicking on their emails. It's just a good excuse to make contact with people in your database, and it gives them a good opportunity for potential repeat or referral business from those phone calls.
Right.
And those work. I've had clients. I actually had a client here in Omaha that came into our office to fire us. So he was in Omaha and he's like, I want to meet with you. And I'm like, this can't be good. And he came in to meet with us and he's ready to fire Vyral. And I'm like, hey, have you called the people that are clicking on your emails? And he was like, no. And I'm like, I know you have an ISA. Can you just add this to their workload? And he was like, sure. And then he contacted both me and Frank and he's like, hey, I just set like 11 appointments. So I think we're good.
It's always about the follow-up,
Yep.
And that's the other thing that it gets frustrating. But, it's when I talk about coaching to real estate agents, it's the one thing, obviously coaching, it's accountability, right? You guys are the same thing. You pay a fee, which, it's a fair fee. And, people get into a contract and that's when the accountability starts. But at the end of the day, you still have to do certain things. And I've always told real estate agents, if somebody calls you up and says, come list my house, do I need to remind you of that? I don't need to remind you.
No.
If I did, that'd be really bad. Or if a buyer says, hey, I've got a house here, I love it, I want to write a contract up on it. You don't need accountability for that. You don't need accountability once you write a contract and get the thing to close. Now you need systems of follow-up to make sure that you're following all the steps and everything, which is easy to do. But where you need the accountability is on the back end of putting the fuel in the engine, right? Because that's where even I do it. I mean, I need the accountability from the standpoint of building the coaching business. My wife and I still sell here in Omaha. And so, all of that type of stuff, you need it. And, again, everybody wants to know, okay, well, if I'm going to pay you $800 a month in order to do this, where's my return? And a lot of times people think they're pushing the easy button when in reality it's a team effort, right? So you're doing all of this stuff that they wouldn't be able to do on their own. But then the one thing you're asking them to do is what they should be doing. And that's, conversion, is calling people up. And I'm sure that your guys' dialogues aren't, hey, you ready to buy? Hey, you ready to sell? I'm sure they're like, hey, you just watched that video. What do you think?
Hey, Gary, you've been getting our e-newsletter, so you may have seen some of the videos that I've been putting out there. So I just wanted to call today to see if you had any other questions that I could answer in one of my future videos that I'm doing. Boom.
Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect. And you know what? It's that simple. But again, if they don't, that's where the accountability comes in, Yep. And I'm sure you probably had real estate agents to where they got irritated by the accountability and just decided to go a different direction. And it's not a reflection on you guys. It's a direct reflection on what they were unwilling to do. And that, at the end of the day, that's, again, it's a numbers game. You just have certain people that are unwilling to do certain things. So,
Yep.
All right. So we are coming up on the 40-minute mark. Do you have any closing thoughts? Anything that maybe we haven't covered that you want to cover on this?
No, I mean, look, I think it's important, like I said, for any service-based business that the business owner or someone from that business is kind of putting themselves out there in a way to communicate with people in their audience. Whether that audience is on Facebook, if it's through email, I feel like it's very important to do that and do it in an educational type manner. So if you would need some help doing it, just go to getvyral, GETVYRAL.com, and you can actually schedule free strategy call. And the person that you would talk to would be me.
We love free strategy calls.
Yep. So, 1 hour consultation call. I will learn, as much as I can about what you're doing currently in your marketing, what's working, what's not, and then, figure out if Vyral is the right fit for you.
All right. Perfect. All right. Hey, John, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to work with me on this interview. I'm sure that the people that are going to watch it are going to get good value out of it. And hopefully, you get some business from it as well. So again, thanks a lot. And I appreciate it. Tell Frank I said hi.
I will. Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll talk to you later. All right, gang. So appreciate you guys all being on the video. We are going to be live on Thursday with a training video, and we're going to talk about lead conversion, and we're going to talk about the four time stealers. So hopefully you can make it at 1 o'clock on Facebook Live. Other than that, if you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to always give me a call at 402-680-7000. I'd love to help you in any way I can. So make it a great one.